Hello, friends. So this is a review of 5.6, your ELA 5.6 lesson. So we're going to go over the ELA lesson. This has this is one with a quiz. We're going to go over the lesson itself. We will not go over the quiz, but we will go over the lesson up to the quiz. If you follow along, it will help you whenever you get to the quiz. A lot of you either have not taken the quiz yet, or you've taken it, but you haven't done so well. So hopefully this will help you as you get to that quiz. So let's go ahead and get started. So in Unit 5, you are using your the book that K-12 sent you, Glory of Greece. If you are using this book the way you're supposed to be using it, you're going to do fine, because throughout the quiz, you can open this book. You don't even have to open a link. You can open the book and it says, turn to page 3, turn to page 4, turn to page 21. Look at this, make an inference, use the text feature to help you answer these questions. If you're doing that, you can answer these questions. But if you're just being a clicky McClickerson, we've talked about that quite often, you're not going to do so well. So slow your roll, put on your critical thinking hat, and answer the questions the way you're supposed to. So let's pull out our Glory of Greece book, sit back, and work through this. Now, I'm not going to read this entire book because that is like gracious 61 pages, so I'm not going to do all that. But before we go any further, I'm going to quickly and make this screen a little bit bigger. And we're going to talk about a few text features, because a lot of this unit is talking about the use of text features. And you should have really been learning about text features since kindergarten, first grade, definitely second grade. And even in this unit, they focus a lot on text features. So what are some text features? Well, first, the title. In a nonfiction text, the title is really going to tell us a lot about the book that we are reading. We've talked about that in the Wampanoag and Pilgrims, the life before the first Thanksgiving. What did that text feature tell us? It told us who or what this passage was about. It was about the Wampanoag tribe and the Pilgrims and what their life was like before the first Thanksgiving. What is another title that we've read? It's not fun doing this without you guys here to help me use my brain, right? I can't think of one right now. But let's look at this one, the Glory of Greece. So we know Greece, are we talking about like the grease that we put like in a pan to cook? Probably not, because I see this, but I don't have a lot more connection. So I'm pretty sure it's not like the grease my mom puts in a pan to cook, because it has this. It's not like that liquid stuff my mom puts in the pan, but I'm not sure what it is yet. So I'm going to use my text feature, the title, and I'm also going to use this other text feature, the photo. So there's two text features I can use here. The title, it's going to tell me this is the glory of Greece. Greece is something, but it's not the stuff my mom uses to cook with. I'm going to use this photo right here to help me know it's not the stuff my mom uses to cook with. It has to do something with this. And I'm going to find out more as I start reading. So what are some other things in this book? We have a table of contents. The table of contents organizes all of the information in the book by section and page numbers. So we have an introduction. Why study ancient Greece? And what page number? Chapter 1, the land and seas, page 1. Chapter 2, many gods and goddesses, page 6. Chapter 3, a land of city-states, page 16. Chapter 4, a day with a boy in Athens, page 23. Chapter 5, art and architecture, page 30. Chapter 6, going to the theater, page 35. Chapter 7, the Olympic Games, page 40. Chapter 8, great thinkers, page 44. Conclusion. That means we're wrapping this up. How we know what we owe, page 50. Let's say it, page 56. Glossary, page 58. Illustration credits, page 60. And index, page 61. Here's a funny word, glossary. We've seen that word on our interims, and we talk even with our TFAR, we talked about like what that glossary is. The glossary, we see it is right here, page 58. So let's turn to page 58. Everyone, you should have your book open and you should be turning to page 58 as well. The glossary is where we find the definitions to those vocabulary words. So at the end of our passage each week, we have a glossary, and it has all of our vocabulary words throughout the passage. So where we use our context clues to find the meaning of the words, and then at the end of the passage, we have that glossary giving us the meaning, the exact meaning. We have that at the end of our passage is the glossary. We go back to our table of contents. We have an index right here, page 61. I should put a tab in here so it won't be flipping as much. So everyone turn to page 61, an index. An index just lists all the important topics in alphabetical order. Alphabetical is just a really big fancy word that just means ABC order. So we have Achilles, Acropolis, Aegean Sea, Agora, Apollo, archaeology, all the A words. And it tells us where can we find information about that topic on what page number. And then so in A, C. So there aren't any B important topics. It goes from A to C. Chorus, city-states, city-states by map, clay pottery, comedians, cyclops. D, democracy, discus, drama. F, farming, Breezes? I'm not sure. So it just goes all the important topics in this book and listed in alphabetical order. So those are the things that we found from the table of contents. So let's look at some other important things in here. We find things listed that are bolded. So if you see right here, we have a bolded word on page, I don't know what page number that is. Sorry, it doesn't have a page number. Citizen, that is a vocabulary word. Citizen. So we could use our context clues to find the meaning of citizen if we don't already have our background knowledge to know what citizen means. But we also know that our glossary at the back of our book, which would be helpful, Miss Smith would have put a tab right there, will tell us what citizen means. Citizen. Not citizen. It's civilization. Civilization, a culture that has built cities and developments and developed writing, government, and art. So anytime you see a bolded word, bolded just means it is darker and written in thicker, fatter letters than all the other letters or words around it. We also have our heading. So our heading is kind of like the title of a chapter or a section in a book. So if you look right here, our table of contents said introduction. Why study ancient Greece? This is right here. This is our introduction. And then chapter 1, here is our next heading, the land and seas. Now, with that introduction, with that heading, there are subheadings. So the heading just kind of tells us what that whole chapter, that whole section is about. But within that heading, within that chapter, within that section, there could be subheadings. So it could be divided up into sections. So we could still be in chapter 1, but chapter 1 could be different sections. So the entire chapter could be about the land and the sea, but because we're studying about the land and the sea in chapter 1, we're going to divide the land and the sea up. Oh, hard land to farm. So the first part of chapter 1 is going to be hard land to farm. And then we're going to study about people of the sea because it's the land and the sea. So we're dividing that chapter up into different sections. So you're going to have a heading that tells us what the entire chapter or section is about. And then you'll have subheadings. So it's going to break it down into chunks for you. Another text feature would be timelines. We studied timelines in social studies. Timelines just organizes information or time by line. Right here. Another text feature we have are pictures or photographs, or you could even illustrations. And then another text feature would be captions. Captions are used to explain what the picture, photograph, or illustration is about. So here is a photograph or picture, and the caption says, "The rocky soil of Greece makes it hard to grow crops. Only 1/4 of the land is good for farming." Here is another text feature that you will find in nonfiction books, and that is a map. A map is a great text feature that you will be able to use to help you, especially like with this one. This is Greece, and then it also shows the areas around Greece. And right here is another photograph with the caption, "Groves of olive trees thrive on the hillsides of Greece." So now we can also use our context clues to know that Greece definitely is not the oil that we cook with. It is a country. So if we're putting together context clues, it's not the oil that we cook with. It is a country. Where are you going to put in our car? Let's see here. Let's see if I can find a few more text features. Here is another text feature. Now it is a photograph, but it's a photograph of a statue. But here's also a caption that explains about this photograph of a statue. "Zeus, the king of the gods, stands by the eagle, a symbol of his power." This is another text feature. It is it's like a cutout, basically. So we're learning about the gods and goddesses of ancient Greece, but then here's like a little blurb. So 2 big words. The ancient Greeks were polytheists. That means they believed in more than one God. People who believe in one God are called monotheists. Poly means many, mono means one. So right here is another kind of like cutout or like a blurb that explains something that you're kind of learning about altogether. So this is about the myths, stories of ancient gods in Greece. So this is just telling about the mythical creatures of ancient Greece. Let's see, is there anything else? Right down here, you'll see this throughout your book. This is just another text feature. It just helps break down some of the harder words. So let's say it. It's Eris, so it's Eris. Just another fun text feature. I think these are all of the text features I wanted to go over before we get started going over. If there's anything else, I'll point it out during the rest of our book. So let me make this a little bit smaller. So with that being said, we're at 5.6. So you were supposed to, in this, for 5.1 through 5.6, you're using your inferencing clues to make, remember, inferencing is just, you're making smart guesses, not just like silly guesses, but you're making smart guesses based off the clues that the author has given you in the text, this text right here, and your schema, your background knowledge. And you might not have a lot of background knowledge on ancient Greece, but you could have, as you're reading, you can be like, wait, I don't know a lot about ancient Greece, but as I'm reading, I do know some things about other things, and you start to put things together where you can make an inference. We'll see how that works as we're looking at these different questions. We're going to use, you should have been using these text features such as maps and images to help you make your inferences and draw conclusions and explain how the events and parts of the text are related. So the what is fluency part, we're not going to do. You should do that part on your own. So I'm going to skip this part. This part you can do on your own. If you want to read more, always click on the big universe tab. You can go read more. And then complete the ancient Greece and modern life on your own. So let's go ahead and get started. So it says, look at the picture and caption on page 41, the glory of Greece. So let's turn to page 41. Go ahead and open your book to page 41. So right here, what might you infer from this picture? So here's the picture, and it's also right here. What might you infer? So we're looking at this picture, and the caption says, this famous statue from ancient Greece shows an athlete throwing a discus. And a discus just kind of looks like a big old frisbee. So what could you infer from this photo? The man is the best of the best of the best discus thrower of all time. This sculptor carved this sculpture of the man from bronze. So bronze is a metal. So this sculptor used metal to carve this. Or the man is competing in the Olympic Games. What can you infer? So if you're looking at this photograph, but also look at the photograph of this, but look at the information surrounding the photograph. Use all of your text clues. What is the title of the section around it? Remember, making an inference is using the clues that we have, but also the clues surrounding it to make an educated guess, to make a smart guess. Now, the man is the best discus thrower of all time. Based off this photo, can we infer that he is the best of all time? I can't say that. That's more of an opinion. So I'm going to go ahead, knock that first one out, because that's an opinion. He might think he's the best. His mom, his dad, his aunt, his uncle, his best friend might think he's the best. But you know what? Someone right behind him might think they're the best as well. So we're going to get rid of that one. The sculptor carved this out of bronze. So I don't know what they carved this out of. I don't think it was bronze. Like bronze is like a soft metal. So I don't think it could have been carved out of bronze. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one out. But then the bottom one, the man is competing in the Olympic Games. So if I look right here, and then I look at all the information surrounding it, the heading of the section of Chapter 7, the Olympic Games, the subheadings, the Ancient Games, Olympic Events, I'm going to assume that this man is competing in the Olympic Games because this photograph of this sculpture is in this section. Let's check our answer. Correct. The caption explains that the statue of an athlete throwing a discus. The people who compete in the Olympic Games were athletes, and the discus was an event in the games. So you can infer that the statue of the man is a statue of someone competing in the Olympic Games. Let's look at the next one. Examine the map, which is from page 2 of Glory of Greece. So we can turn to page 2, or you can actually it's a really good size map, but it's right here as well. Which sea is south of Greece? So remember, north is up, south is down, east is to the right, west is to the left. Which sea is south of Greece? We see that the Ionic Sea is to the west, the Aegean Sea is to the east, and the Mediterranean Sea is to the south. Let's check our answer. We are correct. Use the compass rose, which shows the direction near the bottom of the map. The compass rose shows that north is to the top of the map, but you are looking for the sea to the south. This sea that is south of the Mediterranean Sea. So it's the Mediterranean Sea. All right, so today when you go to see a play, you might go in the evening. This show might today. When you go see a play, you might go in the evening. This show might last about 2 hours. But in ancient Greece, people went to the theater during the day. Often they stayed all day long watching one play after another. What structure do the authors use to show how the events in the text are related? Compare and contrast, sequence, or cause and effect. So, when we're comparing and contrasting, what are we doing? We're seeing how things are alike and how things are different. Like, different. Sequence, we're putting them in order. And then cause and effect. The cause makes something happen. It really gets things happen. Ask yourself what happened to understand the effect. Cause and 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 effect. Whenever something happens, there always is a reason. Ask yourself what happened to understand the effect. Okay, sorry. All right, so Today, when you go to see a play, you might go in the evening. The show might last about 2 hours, but in ancient Greece, people went to the theater during the day. Often they stayed all day long watching one play after another. So, what are we doing? We're talking about a play. So, we're talking about today, current time, and ancient Greece. One thing they have in common, going to see a play. What is different about them? In today's time, it lasts about 2 hours. And it's at night. You go at night, lasts about 2 hours, then you get to go home. Ancient Greece, you go during the day, you stay all day. So we're comparing and contrasting. You're seeing how they are alike. You're going to see a play, and then how they are different. Current time, you go and watch one play at night for 2 hours and get to go home. Ancient Greece, you go during the day, you stay all day, and you watch multiple plays. Correct. People who went to the theater in ancient Greece had a very different experience than people do today. The author organizes the text to compare and contrast the experience from ancient times and today. So they use compare and contrast structure. When a Spartan boy was 7 years old, he left his mother. He went to an army camp to live with soldiers. He learned to run, jump, wrestle, fight, and hunt. What inference can you make? Spartans believed in ruling themselves. Spartans believed in following orders. When Spartan boys grew up, they became artists. When Spartan boys grew up, they became soldiers. So when a Spartan boy was 7 years old, he left his mother. He went to an army camp. So at 7, he left home, went to an army camp to live as soldiers. He learned to run, jump, wrestle, fight, and hunt. So at 7, he left, went to an army camp. He learned how to become a soldier. So what inference can we make with that? Do they believe in ruling themselves? Do they believe in following order? Do they believe in growing up and becoming artists? Or do they believe in becoming soldiers? When they grow up, they believe in becoming soldiers. When boys grow up, I think it is when boys grow up, they become soldiers. Correct? When readers make inferences, they make guesses. They use facts to figure out other facts. The text discussed Spartan boys' training. They lived with soldiers and they learned how to fight. So we can infer that because they became soldiers when they grew up. All right, last one. We know a lot about ancient Greece because archaeologists. Archaeologists are scientists who learn about the past by studying artifacts and ruins. Artifacts are objects that people made and left behind, such as coins, tools, cups, and combs. Archaeologists sometimes find these things when they dig in the ground where people lived long ago. What can we conclude? Archaeologists and artifacts help us understand people who are living today. People who lived a long time ago do not affect our lives today. People who lived a long time ago never left anything behind. And archaeologists and artifacts help us understand the lives of people who lived a long time ago. Definitely. And correct. When we draw conclusions, we form an opinion or make a decision about something not stated in the text. We use information we have and what we already know about this decision. We can conclude that information archaeologists learn by we can conclude that the information archaeologists learn by studying artifacts help us understand what people were like a long time ago. So with that, from this point on, you are going to go and take your quiz, okay? Good luck. Use your book. It will help you, I promise. Hasta la pasta. Miss Smith loves you all. Bye.